Scott Parker, and what I do is a very long question. I would say I'm a business development entrepreneur, mentor, cancer survivor, author. I do all kinds of stuff. I would say I'm most proud of making the choice to change from being a CEO of a software company to becoming someone who just works. I don't even want to call it work. Made the choice to love my life and do the things that I truly love to do. So I would say I'm very proud of the software company that we built and launched. Stepping away from it was a difficult thing, but I had to do that for me. And then moving into the space that I am now. I've been given so much through everything I've gone through. I've been able to now take my professional career and build something around that's basically helping and giving other people what they need and the help that they need to get to those milestones that create success in their business. A day is, it's crazy because it's never the same. My days, that's the great thing about it is every day is a different day. I'm dealing with something different. It's a new company who's looking for help. One of the companies that I'm working with that we need to create a new milestone and a plan to get to that milestone. So I work with a company called Translucent Computing out of Toronto, which does digital debt. So I'm working within hospitals and finance on how do we alleviate digital debt and systems that are breaking down, to building a tech entity for a garage door company out of Owen Sound to become Canadian-wide, to the idea of building American, which is our venture piece, to taking Canadian companies across the border into Buffalo, investing in them, helping them grow. Reaction's the same concept of doing what we're doing in Canada. I talk with my publisher, the person that was helping me write my book, down to the reality of just doing a little bit of paperwork. I wake up every day and I put down 3 things that I'm going to accomplish today. And one is for me, one is for someone else, and one is just because. And as long as I'm able to complete those 3 things, I've accomplished what I wanted to do today. Like I said, I don't feel like I have a job. I feel like I wake up every morning and I just love my life. I work with people that are awesome. I have people come into my life that just show me how blessed I am on a daily basis. So I don't feel like I work. So as long as I accomplish those 3 things in my day, my day was a success. I'd say as a startup, it's always built around money, right? You build a product, you think you have the best thing in the world, you have confidence that you're going to go out there and you're going to be able to make that industry adopt it. You get lots of traction, you get people loving it, but you have to have money to grow it. And if you can't grow it, you can't expand the business, you can't start to create the revenues that you want. So I think that, especially in that startup phase, is probably the toughest thing. And also making the right decisions for you. I've been put in a place where I've had to make some very, very tough decisions, and I really struggled with them. I've become a guy who, was a junior hockey player, as a fighter, that's all I did. So I became a protector. So then all of a sudden you take on investors who you feel like they've invested in you because you're the face, you're the guy. And then when something comes up where you feel like now I have to step away, I'm letting them down, I'm not protecting them, it's a very difficult thing to do, right? So making decisions that are right for you. You hear a lot in this startup world that you have to pay attention to you because you're going to burn out. And I think that's, between chasing the money and paying attention to that is probably the 2 of the toughest things in the startup world. It's funny because I talk about my cancer is a blessing, man. If I was to actually take you back a little further, my life is, and I'll give you a little bit about my book. My life is, at 12 years old, I was sexually abused by a baseball coach, something I never dealt with. At 14 years old, started playing junior hockey, became a fighter, got married very young at like 22. So that helped me settle down. I never dealt with my sexual abuse. And then, you find that safe place within that relationship, you settle down, you have kids early. And then at, in that early 30s, I got hit by a forklift at Toyota, tore my ACL, my MCL, shut down the vastus medialis of my quad muscle, sent me into a massive depression, left my house one night to kill myself. Obviously I didn't do it. And that was when signs started coming into my life that that's not where my life is supposed to go. I advocated for myself, went back to school, got a business degree, and at the end of my business degree was my first cancer battle. So, yeah, man. So, and this is 4 times with cancer, right? So you start to look at it and realize, there's a reason and a purpose to my life, and I had to learn who I was. It wasn't about what's my purpose, because that's where we all get caught up in. It's understanding who you are to understand what your purpose in life is. If you don't know who you are, you'll never know your purpose. I had to learn who I was. And that's now what my biggest, I would say, success in my life has become. I've learned to love myself, have self-respect, and have self-confidence in the person that I am. I got asked this one question, and it was the hardest question of my life. What makes you happy? That doesn't come from somebody else. Right? Easy to say, I got kids, they make me happy, we've got this relationship, it makes me happy, I have this job, it makes me happy. That's all exterior things coming in, trying to show me, or for me to find something good in something else. If you can't find good in you, you'll never find good in anything else. And that takes it into the business side. Like that's, we talk a lot about corporate culture, and I'm a believer that you have to have people who understand who they are before they can even tie into a corporate culture or be part of a culture, right? So at the end of the day, we're really focused on how do we make people happy with exterior things. We need to start looking at it, how do we make them happy with who they are? Because there's a lot of energy that needs to be done when you go to work and you feel like you have to be this person and it's not who you really are. And then when you leave, you flip a switch to try to be this person. There's no way that you're living authentically throughout that, and you're burning energy and wasting parts of your life worrying about, I need to be this person, I need to be this person. No, man, be this person, be you. And that's what I had to learn, and that's my biggest success story. For me, it was, my friend asking me, what makes you happy? I didn't know. Like, it took me days to answer that, and then it changed, and then it changed, and then it changed, right? It was coming to that understanding of, I needed to start to go within, look inside myself. What is it that I am struggling with? And I realized I never dealt with my sexual abuse. I had so much anger. I never had the opportunity to speak to anyone about it. I said something once. About a week after it happened, I got a response that made me never speak about it again. And I realized, that was the start to this path of this very angry person, and it took me to a point where I sat under an overpass one night where I was going to drive my car into the post. I drove under it 20 times. I never did it. And, something happened that night that went, man, this isn't what your life's about, and from that point, all these amazing things start to come into my life. I talk a lot about collateral beauty. It's the idea of, in the toughest moments, you have one event that becomes very difficult, but you have 10 events that are so beautiful that will surround you that we don't pay attention to in those moments. I could look at my cancer and go, cancer sucked, treatment sucked. I met an unbelievable girl that came into my life. I met an unbelievable guy who became a mentor of mine. I've had the love and support of people who surrounded me and said, hey man, let's go take on this together. We don't pay attention to that stuff. We pay attention to cancer sucked. Right? So in those crappy moments, if you actually stop and step back at the beauty that surrounds you, you get 10 awesome things to one crappy thing. I'd like those odds. Our slogan was Crush Cancer. Yeah, we launched a charity built around bodybuilding. So I've competed in 4 bodybuilding shows that basically took us to, our first one was with Movember. We raised a whole bunch of money for Movember, had like 15 people go on the stage together and do this movement. People loved it, so we created our own not-for-profit. We came up with a slogan called Crush Cancer, and then what we did from that was we hosted a show, raised a bunch of money, took that money and paid directly to service providers for things insurance wouldn't cover for people going through treatment. We have lots of great insurance in Canada and stuff, but it's still expensive here to get sick, especially if you don't have extra insurance, pharmaceutical drugs, that type of stuff, right? So we were able to alleviate. I found for me, one of the hardest parts was going through this idea of, I got to fight to live, but then I also have to figure out a way to pay for it, and you're not working, money's not coming in, how do you pay for things, right? So all of a sudden there's a financial stress. You don't want stress when you're going through any kind of illness. So we figured out a way to alleviate at least some of that stress. So most people get into that space because of an event, right? Something happened. And if you can actually stop in that moment, step back outside and go, okay, why is this affecting me the way it is? What am I going to learn from it? And the second you realize that you're learning something from it, it turns into a positive moment, right? When you can turn that moment into a positive, you're able to move from it and figure out a way that, yes, this might suck, but this is what I need to do to make it better, right? Respecting the process. You know what? Actually, I love that because it comes back to respecting the authentic person that you want to be. That's the process. I found that finding that true inward peace, that authentic person I want to be, that was my process to live this life. And man, do I respect that.